lovelies, part deuxième, more Q&A. So I'm just carrying on with these questions, and as I said, they're a completely random selection. But the first ones for today, these two that were next. Oh, hang on, I forgot. I've got it. This alarm needs to be set, because otherwise, I mean, I could talk for England, but we don't want to be here all day, do we? So, yeah, these first two, there's a slight negative connotation to the both, but let's try and be positive about them. So the first one is from Marianne, and she says, she's basically saying, don't you ever get scared that you're not going to be able to manage by yourself when you get older? Who is going to help you? Do you know what? I try not to worry about the future, because none of us know how long we've got anyway. You know, my sister died the day before she turned 59. Not wishing that on myself, but I just try to live life as best as I can in the here and now. And I've sort of half jokingly said, but I actually do mean it, that at some point, if I need to go into sheltered accommodation because I can't properly look after myself, then that's why you look after a property. You look after it so that one day when you need to sell it, you can realise as much capital as possible from it to then buy your place in sheltered accommodation or a nursing home. Maybe my nephew will have children. I don't know. I don't know whether he even wants children, but maybe he'll have children, and so he'll have a daughter who's like, I become Auntie Teapot and she's Vivi. That's what I've done in my family. I looked after my grandma and I looked after my great aunt. So the point is, no, I'm not going to worry about what my life will be like when I'm 90. All I can do is make the best provision now, as in have an asset, and don't spend like mad, so that if I need care, I can pay for some care. I'm not going to waste my current life that I'm enjoying worrying about something that hasn't even happened in the future. Oh, and then Shelley asked, what are the things you do to help deal with feeling anxious? Get on and solve the problem. So, I mean, I think generally I'm not an anxious person. I get stressed about things, I get frustrated about things, but I would say generally it's, how to put it, if there's a problem, if there's with the house stuff, I am feeling a bit stressed about all of that. The best way to deal with it is to just crack on and get the blimmin' job done. It's just deal with it head on. I'm not one for burying my head in the sand and ignoring problems and hoping they'll go away. So I suppose that's how I deal with things. I don't really... Anxiety. I don't think I am an anxious person. I'm getting anxious about it now. No, I don't think anxiety is what I experience. It's more sort of, there's some stress and frustration, like I said. Sometimes I worry about stuff. And again, it's that thing of try to break it down. What is it that I'm worried about? And therefore, if I work out what it is I'm worried about, work out an answer to remove that worry from my life. Also, what do you do to deal with when in physical pain? Well, you know what? I'm in physical pain all the time, all day, every day, all night, every night. And I just have to, as much as possible, block it and get on with my life. My life's too lovely to not get on with. I feel so happy these days, and, moving here was so right for me. There's just too much to be happy about and joyful about to let the pain take over. So I try to block it out as much as I can. And when it's really, really, really bad, I do have medication I can take, which, it doesn't completely take the pain away, but it takes the edge off it. And if needs be, just curl up with a book and get lost in the book. Or just look out of my window and get lost in the view. Or go and sit in the garden and be lost in the garden. The main thing is, I don't give in to it. It's not going to stop me. Oh, this is a good one. So this is from Begin Again Jen. Begin Again Jen. Good Monica. If you had to move outside of England to anywhere in the world and money isn't an object, what would be the top 5 cities or top countries you would like to live in? Anywhere in the Mediterranean. South of France, the Amalfi Coast in Italy, anywhere in Greece, so long as I'm on the coast, an island. Yeah. 2 things, and I've mentioned it in the previous video about what makes me happy. Heat, sunshine, bobbing in the water. There we go. Simple. In terms of cities, well, I love Paris. I have lived in Paris a short amount of time. I would do that again in a heartbeat. Actually, I don't think I would now. I think I'm just so happy now, settled by the sea. I can't leave the sea now. I nearly spat my water then because I just read the next question from Cynthia. Has Cardiac Hill improved your fitness? And if so, in what way? Well, if it was going to improve my fitness, it would be my cardio fitness, wouldn't it? But this one's a bit of a hard one to extrapolate because obviously I've lost a ton of weight. And going right back to September last year when I first clapped eyes on this gaff and put my offer in, my offer was accepted, I started getting back on with my physiotherapy. I do it at home on my own, but getting back on with it. And then from January, whilst I was still in London, I was trying to walk a little bit further every day. So I think undoubtedly the hill does help, but I think it's more the fact, it's the combination of factors of, I've been doing my physiotherapy now for 12 months, trying to walk a little bit further, not necessarily each day, but certainly each week, each month, losing weight. So that's almost certainly improved my cardiovascular fitness a little bit. But the main improvement is muscular strength in my legs. I'm making my muscles work harder again. And having that muscular strength, they can do more of the work so that my poor old knackered, frankly, knee joints, they're getting as much support as possible. But it's also things like all the tendons and ligaments, all the soft tissues around my knees, they're all getting stronger just from just repeating the work every single day. But yeah, I'm sure the hills have helped a bit. And put it this way, I get up the hill in one go now. Oh yeah, so Susan, is it in shot? No, it's not in shot. So Susan asked, she's always curious about my mannequin, the dress stand, figuring so prominently, is there a story you want to share about it? There's no story. I have a mannequin. I use it partly for online selling when I used to sell clothes online, but also it's a hangover from my dressmaking days. The dress that's on it was a dress that I was going to alter, never got round to, and it's purely on there because the mannequin itself is kind of marked and grubby, and it's not, I mean, when it's bare without a dress, it just looks weird and horrible. So I just leave the dress on so I'm not looking at the grubby old mannequin, that's all. But I have it for a combination of from dressmaking, but also from online selling, needing a mannequin. Lexi Curick said, besides no stairs to speak of, are you happy with your choice? You appear to be more relaxed. I'm ecstatic with my choice. It's perfect, and that's why it took so long. I know I talked about this at the time. You know, I was getting a lot of nagging comments. When are you going to move? When are you going to move? When I find the right place, you know, and it's a big, you know, moving is a big deal. It's a big expense. you want to get it right. You know, you don't want to move and then think, oh no, this isn't quite right, and move again in 6 months. I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have had the money because it takes ages to save up for all the costs. So yeah, I'm utterly delighted with my choice, and from the minute I saw it, put my offer in, to the minute of actually getting the sale through, there was never a doubt in my mind about this place. I knew it was perfect for me. So, okay, so Sarah asked, so she says, I know you did a live test run a while back from my new home. Do you think you will ever schedule in a live so that people can plan and join in? Definitely, it's definitely a plan. So in London, my internet was awful, and I tried a couple of times to do a live, but it just didn't work. The picture was awful, the sound was awful. So when I tried it here, it was completely impromptu. I wasn't planning to. It was one of those afternoons, all sorts of thoughts were going on and planning this and that, and then I thought, oh, you know what, let's test if I can do a live, let's test the internet here. And it worked really well, and we ended up doing a little half-hour live, and I don't know, about 300 or 400 people caught on that I was doing it and joined in. Great. So I'm definitely planning to do a scheduled live at some point, but I will need to, so Richard and Paul are my moderators, so obviously I need to coordinate it with them about when is a convenient time for them, because they're both, fantastically busy as well. I don't want to intrude on their time too much. So I think we were chatting when they were here that if I do that, it will probably be on a Sunday afternoon, I think sort of maybe 4 or 5. That way in terms of other places around the world, but say within the UK, if it's 4 or 5 o'clock, people have had time, if they have some people have a big lunch on a Sunday with family, what have you. So hopefully that will work. So I will, in fact, I'm going to make a note. Where's my pen? I'm going to make a note of that to myself. Grabbing a little bit of paper. Co-ord live with R and P. So that might be soonish. That might be within October. Yay! So thanks, Sarah. It's and I've always intended to. It's just literally that coordinating with the chaps so that I'm not, annoying them and invading on their time too much. Judith says, I'm about to go into semi-retirement. Yay! Enjoy. I'm thinking of having an online store for my handmade goods to supplement my pension. Would you share which platform you use and why you chose not to use Etsy? I use WooCommerce. I have it as a plugin on my website. Who hosts my website? Is it GoDaddy? Oh no, that's my domain name. I can't remember. Hang on, let me see. I'm just going to bring it up on my computer. Does it tell me? WordPress. There we go, WordPress. So I have, my website is WordPress and it's free. And so long before I had my shop, I started, and long before I had YouTube, it was years ago I started I was blogging about gardening and just life and appreciating things. So that's WordPress, it's free, that's why I chose it. Then the WooCommerce plugin, I do pay for it. However, you were asking about why not Etsy. I did my research and I looked at how much commission Etsy take, etc., and it worked out that WooCommerce would be a little bit cheaper if I did a certain amount of sales. But the main thing is, it's the autonomy. I'm not on Etsy competing with a ton of other people. It's just me and just my little website, and I just wanted to keep it small and cozy. That was the main thing. The thing for me, of course, though, is I built up a community. I'd already built a community to sell to because of I was blogging and I had my YouTube page. not my YouTube, my Facebook page, and then of course I started doing YouTube. So I didn't need the exposure that Etsy would give someone. So if you've not done any social media at all, who's going to know to look for your website? That might mean that you'd want to go to Etsy because they will promote you to everybody. Purely personal, but yeah, I weighed up the money part of it, but also felt that I didn't need Etsy's exposure. I'd built up a little community for myself, which I was happy with. Kat says, what do you do for hobbies in your downtime? What downtime? I don't have downtime at the moment. Actually, no, that's not strictly true. Well, my hobbies, I've kind of made my hobbies sort of my work in terms of vegetable growing and sewing. But the main thing for me, the one to fall back on every time is reading. I love to read. So I would say most evenings around about 10 o'clock, I try and shut everything off and I have an hour or two of reading. That's my downtime. I mean, of course, being here, there's a big truck trying to squeeze through. That's a big truck. It's through. Of course, since moving and I've got a garden now, there've been downtime might just be literally 10 minutes. I just go and sit in the garden and watch the insects. I love to do that. Is that a hobby? Watching insects for 10 minutes? Or just going and sitting on the beach for 10 minutes and watching the sea? Oh, love it. But yeah, I don't really have hobbies as such, but I read. Country Mouse Farmhouse asked, how is living there compared to what you hoped it would be? Are there some things that are more challenging than you expected? Are there things that are better than expected? Have you been able to link up with other gardeners for produce, seed swaps, etc.? Okay, so let's break that down. Linking up with other gardeners, well, no, but I haven't felt the need to, because I still have my old gardening community. So obviously, Gary in London, and we've swapped seeds, and obviously Paul and I have been swapping plants. So I haven't felt the need to link up with other gardeners specifically here, because I still have that community. I've carried it with me. Are some things more challenging? Are some things better? I think, okay, in a nutshell, compared with what I hoped it would be, it's better. It's even better. It's weird. I was talking to my cousin about this last night. It just feels so right and so, I'm going to get emotional because it's a relief. It just feels like I've been here forever. It's everything I ever dreamed it would be and more, but it's also everything I knew it would be. So yeah, are there things that are more challenging? No, I haven't had any moments yet. We're only 6 months in, but I haven't had any moments yet where I thought, oh gosh, this. Actually, in fairness, being the freeholder, I wish I wasn't, in truth, but that's the price I pay for finding the perfect place for myself. So that is a price I'm paying. Just have to suck it up, buttercup. And I think, as I've explained anyway, as the years go by, my duties as the freeholder will get easier because I'll have done the learning. Each time I have to do one of those tasks, I learn it, so next time it will be easier. So that's the challenging thing, being a freeholder. But everything else, no, I don't feel like I've had challenges. I expected life here to be fantastic, and it is. I love it. And what I'm really loving is sharing it with friends as well. I've got space to host now. I've got space to put people up for the night. I've got space in the kitchen to sit around a table and eat and chat. That has been an absolute delight, because that's the person I used to be before I moved into my previous flat, when I had bigger flats where there was a spare room or a dining room, have people over for food. So that's one of the biggest joys of this move, is having people, hosting people again. I love it. Okay, so I think this is going to be a never-ending question. So someone's asking me about to explain the ownership of my flat and the two above, and why you're in charge of paperwork for all 3 units. They're not units, we don't call them units. I think that's probably an American thing. But, so, hopefully in a nutshell, all 3 of us own our individual flats. However, coming back to something mentioned in the previous Q&A, I own the land that all the flats sit on. Now, imagine if there were 100 flats in a block, someone needs to be in charge of looking after the maintenance, like making sure the roof is okay, the drains are okay. You can't have 100 people all deciding unilaterally about doing different things. That's the job of the freeholder. Sometimes freeholders, so for these big blocks of flats, they hand that over to a management company. So it's like I'm the management company for the building, but rather than paying a management company, we're keeping it cheaper, I'm doing it. But each individual is an owner. They're not my tenants, they're not renting from me. I don't have any financial gain from their flats or investment in their flats, nothing to do with me financially. It's just that we happen to share a roof and drains, so we need to work together to make sure those things are good. And because I'm the freeholder, the landowner underneath the building, that falls on me to organise. I hope that's clear. Look, leasehold and freehold law in the UK is incredibly complicated. There are solicitors who specialise in just that and that alone. So it's not something I can explain in a nutshell here. You just have to accept what it is. So Ms. Sarah says, I'd love to know what changes you've made to your budget to take into account the new living situation. I kind of haven't really. My bills are a bit more here. So that just means that so if my bills were like this, and this was my living on budget in London, and then any excess, so they add up to that, any excess, not necessarily a huge amount, but any excess goes into savings. So now my food budget is about the same, but my bills budget has gone up a bit. So that combined thing, all it means is that now each month there's less for me to put into savings. So I'm kind of live the same way, and that whole, 50 quid a week is my rule. I take 50 quid out of the bank on a Monday, and that's what I live on for the whole week, and that's for absolutely everything: food, clothing, entertainment, whatever it is. So most weeks I try to spend less than that 50 quid, and if I spend less, I can pop that little bit into the post office. Yes, the bills are more, but it just means, like I said, I put less into savings, I cover my bills. So it's kind of, the way I budget is exactly the same as I always have. So that's another one. So Evification or something also wants to know how the budget has changed since I moved. What's cheaper, what's more expensive? So actually pretty much everything is more expensive here. My fuel bill has gone up, but again, I can't remember whether I've mentioned this or not. I haven't had a whole year here. Once I've had a whole year, I'll be able to see what my fuel bill will be. At the moment they're taking 120 a month. I reckon that's going to come down. My water bill, that actually is less than London. Yay! And I think that can come down a bit more as well. My insurances, all the different insurance is up a bit. So it's a bit, so overall it's up. But I manage because, like I said, I just put less into savings. So instead of being able to put, say, £100 into savings each month, it might be that I only put £20 into my savings one month. Just means work a bit harder, you know. So yeah, it's all manageable, and the principles of how I budget are all exactly the same. So yeah, and I bought below budget, so I knew what my top budget was be, and because I bought below, that meant that bit, that's what I'm using for the roof and the windows. So I'm not having to take a loan, I'm not having to get extra money for that, it's all within that original budget. And it'll be great when all the work's done, I'll be delighted, because then I'm not saving quite as much now as I did when I was in London. And I would like to be able sometimes to save even less, because I just want to go out and not think about it. But once everything's taken care of for the building, and once everything's taken care of in the flat, then I can relax a little bit on how tight I am with you know, every spare penny going into savings. I might be able to say sometimes, I've got a couple of spare pennies, I'm going to go and have a pint. Yay! Where are we? Oh, Joanne says, hey Joanne, will you continue with your YouTube channel into retirement? Is the workload manageable? Do you aspire, Joanne, there's lots of questions. Do you aspire for alternate ways to make a living? Open a bricks and mortar second-hand bookshop? Selfishly, we all want you to go on forever. Okay. Oh, I would love a bricks and mortar second-hand bookshop. They're just not viable now. The internet has pretty much well and truly killed that. I mean, I would love it. That's a total fantasy though, because cost a fortune. So let's park that. I would love it in my romantic brain and heart. That's not an option. Do you aspire for an alternative ways to make a living? Not really. I'm happy doing this. I think, yeah, there's the downside to it in terms of trolls and all that nonsense. But it's what I like about doing YouTube and having my shop and doing sewing. There's enough flexibility in that so that if I'm having a rubbish day, I can do something where I'm not on camera. So I can do my shop and not worry about not worry about being on camera. So I enjoy the way I make my living now, and it's like I said, there's enough flexibility in it. And for instance, you know, I've got visitors at the moment, but there's still some flexibility for me to work while they're here. Great. Do I want to continue into retirement age? Are you having a giraffe? Do I heckers like? No. Retirement is in 9 years. Oh God, the thought of doing this beyond another 9 years. No. It's so much work, and it's not a huge amount of money. And there are days when I think YouTube are not paying me enough to take the flack that I take from some people. So, no. When I hit retirement age, over and out. I mean, who knows? Never say never. Maybe I would do something, just pop up once a month and have a little chatty catch up. That would be all right. But not this level of, you know, because it's literally every 3 days a video, and comments appear daily, email messages appear daily, Facebook messages appear daily. It's a constant stream of answering questions, replying to people, thanking people, of course rightly, but you know, there is no, in social media, there is no let up, there's no day off. But like I said, I'm grateful for it because it's flexible. But no, not into retirement. Are you vegetarian? Yes, I'm vegetarian. I don't eat meat or fish. Now that you live on the coast, have you got... Oops, sorry, this is Claire. That's my 5-minute warning. Now that you live on the coast, have you got plans to join a sea swimming group? Well, I might do, I might not. I don't have plans to, particularly. I mean, I've been invited. There's lots of little groups. I mean, you can literally go down to the beach anytime and there'll be locals going in for a dip. So if I wanted to go in at the same time as someone else, just in terms of feeling a bit safer, there's always people around. So I've made a few contacts in that way, but I'm quite happy to go when it's once it warmed up. I'm quite happy to just go in on my own. I might do in the future. We'll see. Okay, so Linda Cappan has said, at any point in the foreseeable, would I consider adopting a pet? So replied to that in the previous one. Almost certainly no, but you never know. But right now, definitely not. Expensive, can't afford it. So this is Lynn. Listen, sorry I'm kind of looking down, but unless someone was here to read the questions out to me. Has moving into your lovely, in brackets, thank you, flat been more expensive than you anticipated? And if so, how do you plan to tackle that? No, it hasn't been more expensive than anticipated. I'm way too much of a planner. I'm really, really detail orientated. I'm on my own, so there's no safety net. So I have to be on it with my numbers, with my figures, with knowing that, yes, I can do this, because like I said, I've got no one to fall back on if I needed more money or whatever. So it has not been more expensive than I anticipated, because I made sure that I knew exactly what I had to spend before I even looked at any properties. So it's all fine. It's all fine. Yvonne wants to know, was your flat a house first? Yes. So it was built in about 1900 as a big grand villa, and then later on it was split into 3 flats. Thank goodness. Have you found this is user DM. Have you found a fellow gardener with lavender to spare? Not yet. Although Paul brought some lavender from his garden. Will you be making your lavender bags this year? No, I don't have time apart from anything. There's way too much else going on. And oh my goodness, there's still so many more. Guys, I'm going to have to do a part 3. I really didn't anticipate that. I need to answer more quickly. Okay, I'm going to wrap that up for today. Oh God, there's a couple coming up that are really personal. So I'm going to have a little think about, because I did say I wouldn't necessarily answer all questions. It depends on, yeah. I'm going to wrap this one up for now. Have a little look through these, and then we might just turn the camera straight back on and start in on part 3. Who knew? So for now, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, maybe I answered it in the previous video. Maybe I'm going to be answering it in the next one to come, but I'm aiming to answer everybody, if I possibly can. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again for the next one before too long. Until then, cheerio.